Well, this week, the White House gathered foreign ministers, law enforcement officials, and Muslim community leaders for a summit on countering violent extremism. President Obama addressed the war of words on the home front, a debate over the true nature of ISIS, Muslim extremists or just extremists.
Obviously, there is a complicated history between the Middle East, the West, and none of us, I think, should be immune from criticism in terms of specific policies, but the notion that the West is at war with Islam is an ugly lie. And all of us, regardless of our faith, have a responsibility to reject it.
Joining me now is Salam Al-Marayati, the president of the Muslim Public Affairs Council, who attended that White House conference. And Salam, with a welcome to you, sir. Look, while it is certainly correct to say that the U.S. is not at war with Islam as a whole, why is this not a war against Islamic extremists?
Well, it's important not to give ISIS and Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, and other extremist groups any Islamic or religious legitimacy. They are desperate for that legitimacy, as the president correctly stated. And so we have to take Islam back to the community, back to the mainstream, back to the moderates. We should describe those as Islamic, whereas ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram are cults of death, and we have to expose their moral bankruptcy.
Okay. You may have read Graham Wood's fascinating piece in The Atlantic this week. It was titled "What ISIS Really Wants," and here's what he writes, quote, "The reality is that the Islamic State is Islamic, very Islamic. Yes, it has attracted psychopaths and adventure seekers, drawn largely from the disaffected populations of the Middle East and Europe, but the religion preached by its most ardent followers derives from coherent and even learned interpretations of Islam. Muslims can reject the Islamic State, nearly all do, but pretending that it isn't actually a religious group with ideology that must be understood to be combated has already led the United States to underestimate it and back foolish schemes to counter it." So, is this a case of following an ancient religion too much, too literally, or is this the devil citing scripture for his purposes?
It's the latter, because you can have the KKK citing Christian scripture and claim that it represents Christianity, or a racist Israeli settler that looks at Palestinians as cockroaches and provides a very racist ideology towards Palestinians and claim that they are representing true Judaism, like Baruch Goldstein, who went to a mosque and killed, I believe, 22 people during the month of Ramadan in the West Bank and Hebron. So you find that mentality in every religion. So does ISIS want to claim Islam and and cite Islamic scripture? Of course. The problem is we in the community have not been afforded the platform to counter them, and I believe the White House summit provided that platform. And it's so important that we went to the White House to serve America and with the purpose of saving lives. And I believe religion is really meant to defend freedom and to preserve human dignity. So that's why we have to say that Islam and Muslims represent mercy and justice, whereas ISIS represents cruelty and barbaric behavior.
But then one of the tenets of ISIS is that they're the ones who decide who is a true Muslim, what's known as a takfir. Is that going to backfire potentially for U.S. leaders to now essentially engage in that same business?
No, the U.S. should not be in the business of ideology or theology. That's the business of the community. This is exactly why we have the White House summit. It's to take away that responsibility from the military and law enforcement on theology, ideology, and bring it and actually empower the community to engage in this battle. So we're engaging as a community in the battle of ideas, the battle for the soul of Islam. Definitely this is a civil war in terms of ideology within the Muslim world. And there is takfirism, as you correctly pointed out, where you have people that decide who is and who's not a Muslim, which, by the way, is outside what classical Islamic law can actually allow. So this is clear to Muslims, But we have not had that platform in the past, and I think the White House summit was historic in terms of bringing more communities into this discussion, into this discourse, because if we can take away that legitimacy from ISIS, I believe we can save lives.
Interestingly, the New York Times spoke to Akbar Ahmed, who's the chair of Islamic Studies at American University, and he criticized what was described as President Obama's academic approach to a visceral problem. And here's what he said, quote, "Obama's reaching a point where he may have to ditch this almost scholastic position. He sounds like a distinguished professor in the ivory tower, and he may have to come down into the hurly-burly of politics." You could say the hurly-burly of war, too. Does this focus on terminology matter when the death and depravity escalates each day? Well,
again, I think that that professor is correct in the conclusion, but incorrect in the premise. ISIS, Al-Qaeda want this to be a war between religions, a war between Islam and the West. So if we start engaging in describing what they're doing as Islamic, we fall into the trap that this is a war against Islam. And if we want to take away that legitimacy, then I think we should not use any religious labels. And by the way, the Bush administration adopted the same strategy. This strategy was actually brought up by the Department of Homeland Security under the Bush administration. It's not an Obama strategy uniquely. So it's something that law enforcement understands. It's something that the military understands. And both law enforcement and the military are telling us they know they cannot win this war with just missiles and enforcement. They need this to be they need to bring communities in and bring community empowerment.
And to that point, Ayman Mohyeldin, you just heard that report talking about ISIS recruiting the Western teens. So what's being done to counter that on the community level? I know they're trying to do something in the state of Minnesota.
Well, also, that's why we went to the White House Summit. We represented Los Angeles, where we have a model that's called Safe Spaces. And Safe Spaces is about prevention and intervention for communities. In the case of Tamerlan Tsarnaev in Boston, he shouted at the imam, and he was kicked out of the mosque. But so in safe spaces, instead of kicking out these troubled youth, we should engage them. Prevention is about understanding the theology of life will prevail over the cult of death. Intervention means that we try to rehabilitate people who are troubled. And if they go down that ramp of violent extremism, we bring in mental health experts, peer counselors, religious counselors, other people who can help in that case. Rather than kicking them out of the mosque that now allows them to be lured by groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda or other extremists, we are engaging them. And then if they engage in criminal activity, then we partner with law enforcement and let them deal with that situation. So it is a comprehensive program, but it requires partnership between law enforcement and communities, and I think that's the best approach towards dealing with this kind of problem.
A lot of which starts right there in the home. Salam Al-Marayati, very good to speak with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.